Good. It's good to be here. So I've traveled quite a long distance, all the way from Lansing, Michigan, 1,000 miles, to come speak to you guys today. So it's a privilege to be here. I hope that you all get something out of this. My name is Jacob Akley. I'm a motivational speaker. I travel all over the United States doing speeches for schools, corporations. I'm also a published author, two-time published author actually. My next book comes out this month. I'm an endurance athlete. I've run marathons, ultra marathons in the deserts of Utah. I actually currently have a world record. I've run every country of the United Kingdom with 14 other runners. So that's England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and North Ireland. 14 of us did that in 16 hours. I have fine dined in Beverly Hills, Hollywood, California. I've seen the Queen of England's palace with my own eyes. I've climbed and summited 12, 14,000 foot mountains. Actually, it's 13 now because last month I climbed Gray's Peak, which is 14,272 feet in Colorado. And I've been privileged to be coached by multiple millionaires. But my life hasn't always been that colorful. In fact, it took a lot of life experience to get to where I am. When I was 8 years old was the first trauma that I had. My mother passed away right in front of me. My brother opened my door. Boom, they got mom on a stretcher. She's not breathing. I was 8, so I didn't know what to do. When I got to the door, there were 2 paramedics trying to resuscitate my mom, but she ended up passing away. I didn't have a dad, so at 8 years old, I had no parents. I was adopted. I was extremely poor, and in fact, I was so poor. This is the trailer that I lived in. This was right before my mom died. It's a picture I drew. Arkansas, Conway, Arkansas. And it says right in the corner here, this is the trailer that we lived in. It was junky. I fell through the floor, and mom crocheted. Now, that's a true story. I was playing in my bedroom, and as I ran across the room, I fell through the floor. So I could go inside, outside, or outside, inside. And we didn't have the money to fix it, so I put a board over the top of it. This is me when I was 6 years old at a wedding. Now, the reason I put this in here is for 2 reasons. The first one is I'm wearing a suit that's like 4 sizes too big because we didn't have money, so I got the hand-me-downs. But the real thing here was that I'm wearing a grown man's shoes. These are size 9, size 10, because I didn't have shoes, couldn't afford it. There was a time in my life where I was a high school dropout. I was homeless, and I had a newborn baby. I was couch surfing. There's a time that I was lost. I was trying to figure out why I mattered, if I mattered, or what my purpose was. But there was something that was inside of me, something that I felt, and it would be this voice that would whisper ever so slightly, there's more to life than this, Jacob. How many of you have ever had that voice inside of you where you thought there was something more? Let me see your hands. Oh, come on, guys. Let's participate. So today I want to talk to you guys about chasing something greater in life. And guess what? It's not money. It's not popularity. But it's purpose. And my goal is that hopefully by the end of this speech, I can get some of you to start thinking and operating differently. Because I believe every single person in this room, students and teachers, have special gifts and talents, or what I like to call the something that they're chasing. When I was younger, I remember feeling like I didn't belong anywhere. I got bullied, and when I say I got bullied, I mean I got bullied. I was 4'7" all the way through my senior year in high school. They called me short stack, Stuart Little, light Mike, whatever you could think. I got told that I wasn't going to be anyone or do anything, and I was angry at the world, frustrated at my life, because I was on welfare, because I wasn't the smartest kid, because I didn't make the best choices. And in fact, many of those decisions pulled me back instead of moving me forward. And when I got into high school, I joined gangs. All of those circled as me. I watched friends get shot right in front of me. But I had this tug, this pull on my heart, like there was something I was supposed to be doing. I just didn't know what it was yet. How many of you have ever had that feeling, like you were meant for more, but it was just out of reach? Maybe you love art, maybe you love sports, music, making people laugh. Maybe you got dreams, but you don't know how to start. Well, the good news is you don't have to know how to start to get started. You just have to believe that it's possible. And the truth is that it is. Take this analogy right here. What is that? Do you guys know? An acorn. And what does that acorn turn into? Right, a mighty oak tree, right? And everything that acorn needs to become that oak tree is already inside of it. It just needs to be in the right environments, right? If I were to take that acorn and I put it down on the table and I walk away for 50 years, what's going to happen? Nothing. But the moment that I put that in the ground, an area conducive for growth, what happens? It starts to sprout, right? And the same is true for you. Everything that you need to become the best version of yourself, to accomplish all your goals and dreams, to become who you want to be, all of those ingredients are already inside of you. And all you need to do is get into the right environments. How many of you have ever had a big what-if idea in your head? Let me see your hands. Now keep your hands up if someone's ever told you that it's impossible. Now look around. Look at all the hands. You're not alone. And more importantly, you need to know that that goal or dream that you have inside of you is worth chasing. And you're going to have pains, you're going to have mistakes, you're going to have setbacks. But the truth is those are not the end. And I know it because I've been through some painful stuff. And a lot of those pains were things that I didn't cause, but there were some that I did. Like when I dropped out of high school. This is my actual report card. I had a 1.2 GPA. I had an F, E. I was absent 29 times, 25 times, 24 times, 22 times, and soon after I dropped out. You see, I was neglecting to do the right things for the wrong reasons. What are you guys neglecting to do? Because you want to fit in, because you want to be liked. And I get it. I've been hurt, I've been betrayed, I've been broken. I felt like giving up many times in my life. But what I realized is the pain didn't break me, it was building me. I decided that I would give it one more day, and you guys need to do the same thing, because what we don't realize sometimes is how close we really are to our goals and dreams. Sometimes we are just one more away. One more phone call, one more connection, one more friend, one more decision from seeing our dreams become a reality. So you see, pain, mistakes, setbacks, they're not the end of your story, they're simply but a part of it. And when you can face it head on, right, when you decide that your past doesn't get to determine your future, that's when you take your power back. And when you take your power back, that's when everything will change for you guys. You know, I've heard it said many times that you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back. And I didn't know it, but I had to go through what I went through to make me who I am. You see, I often used to sacrifice my own integrity for opinion-based pleasures, and I'm sure some of you are doing that right now, and that's why I'm here today. So if I can get just one of you to see that, hey, maybe I'm not on the right track right now, I know I could and should be doing better, I'm going to make some different decisions so I don't end up like he did, then I did my job. Don't you guys want to make your mom proud? Don't you want to make your dad proud? Don't you want to make yourselves proud? You see, I didn't have my mom around. I didn't have my dad around. I had to fight to get to where I am. And I stand in front of you guys with an opportunity, and I won't waste it. How many of you guys know you have opportunities to do great things, but you're wasting them? And at the cost of your future. You know, my original mentor, his name was Jim Rohn. And he said something so much, and I believed in it so much, that I got it put on this pen. This was the first pen that I ever had made when I started my business. And on one side are my initials, and on the other side is his quote. This is a 101 pen. There's not another one like this in the world. This is Bethlehem olive wood imported from Pakistan. And on this, it's a simple quote, but it's profound. And it says, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Otherwise, it isn't going to change. Otherwise, it isn't going to get better. No outside circumstance is going to change what's going on inside of you. You have to do that. And I know it because when I started to change, right, when I started chasing that version of myself that I saw I could be, my true potential self, my life exploded into change. And I've been chasing them ever since. And if you guys do that and apply that into your lives, watch the miracles that'll take place. And I know some of you are going through some things right now that you don't talk about. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you feel invisible. Maybe you've been hurt by someone who was supposed to care. You're not alone. Been there. But I'm here standing to tell you that what you've been through can be the very reason that someone else doesn't give up. That's what chasing something looks like. And the very things that you think disqualify you from being great are the things that qualify you to help the people you used to be. You see, I used to think that joining gangs disqualified me from ever being able to stand on stages and speak to people. I thought that dropping out of high school disqualified me from ever being able to do professional development for educators around the world. But you see, my mess became my message, and my test became my testimony, and much is the same for you guys. That's how I got to stand in front of you today, because we all have the power of choice. There was a time where I could have kept being that reckless, disobedient high school dropout who blamed everybody but himself, or I could choose something different. And it didn't mean that I was going to be perfect, but it meant that I was making a new decision. And so in 2017, I started listening to motivational tapes on YouTube. Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. And then I heard a guy whose name was Dr. Eric Thomas. Do any of you know who he is? Also goes by E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. It's okay if you don't. He's the world's #1 motivational speaker. He's worth $30 million. And I heard him speak, and I said, man, if I could just actually hear him speak in person, if I could be coached or mentored by this man, if I could do what he was doing, what would my life look like? And so I wrote that down as a goal for me, that I wanted to travel, speak, and inspire people. And I had the chance to hear him speak in person. And then I got to hear him again, and I got to hear him again. And eventually, that thing that I had in my mind that I wrote down on a piece of paper became true. And the world's #1 motivational speaker, multimillionaire, Dr. Eric Thomas became my coach and mentor. He poured into me, and I became obsessed with improvement. Every seminar he went to, I went to. And I made a choice that I was going to turn the page in my life and start writing the story how I saw. I decided I wanted to live life on my terms. And from there, I've never looked back, other than to see how far I've come. And I want that for you guys. Because you guys don't know it, but you got more power than you think. And every single day, you get to choose who you're becoming. You choose how you respond, how you speak to people, how you treat others, how hard you work, and whether or not you know it, right? Those are the things that are building your future. And so for you guys here in school, it's choosing to turn in your homework, even when you're tired, right? It's choosing not to follow the crowd when you know it's going somewhere negative. It's choosing to forgive even when you're still hurt. But the most important one is choosing to believe in yourself even when no one else does. Those are the stepping stones to success. What kind of person are you guys choosing to become? What goals do you want to accomplish? How do you want to impact the world in a meaningful way? Because you may not realize it yet, but you're leaders. The way that you treat your little brother or sister, the way that you help a classmate, the way that you speak up when someone's being bullied, that stuff matters. And you could be the example in your family, in your friend group, in your classroom. You know, another one of my mentors, his name was Ed Milet, and he taught me this. I'm going to teach it to you guys. If you look at anybody who's happy, who's wealthy, who's successful, and you look back far enough in their family tree, there was a time when they weren't happy, when they weren't wealthy, when they weren't successful. They were barely getting by. In fact, the world had its foot on them. And it wasn't until the one showed up, the one who decided this isn't enough for me and my family, that I refuse to live in their existence, that their family tree changed forever. And in your families, you could be the one. I know in my family, I am one. There's not another person in my family that's ever run a marathon. There's not another person in my family that's ever wrote a book. There's not another person in my family who's ever traveled the world. There's not another person in my family who's ever stood in front of people and changed them. In my family, I'm the one. And it wasn't because I wanted it. It was because I fought for it. And because I became the one, my kids watched me go from someone who never followed through to a person in pursuit of their goals and dreams. They aren't growing up like I grew up. They don't think like I thought. And they don't do what I did because I changed. And that motivates me every day to be someone worth following. Real leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room, though. It's about being someone others can count on. Someone who lifts people up instead of tearing them down. Someone who gives the extra effort when everyone else gives up. True leaders reach back down and pull others up when they're at the top. Are you guys going to be leaders or are you going to be followers? And I want to get this one to you guys, and I want to hit it home because I've had a lot of loss in my life. A lot of people that I cared about have passed away. In this life, we don't know how much time we have. None of us do. At some point, we're going to take our last breaths, have our last hug, say our last I love yous. At some point, we're all going to share our last embraces. What if that phone call that you got from your mom or dad this morning was the last phone call that you ever got? Chances are you wouldn't take a single millisecond of that conversation for granted. It's too precious. And what if that hug you got from your brother, your sister, your grandma, your grandpa was the last hug that you ever got? Would you hold them a little bit longer? Embrace them a little bit harder? You bet you would. And you got to start treating those moments for what they are. The greatest, most precious things. You're not going to get to the end of your life thinking about all the cars, clothes, homes, jewelry that you had. You'll be thinking about the people that you loved and cared for, the relationships, and all the things that we take for granted in the moment that turn out to be the fabric of our bliss and happiness. I know that's hard to comprehend when you're younger, and I wish I had understood it, and that's why I deliver that message. We are on limited time here. Go tell your people that you love them. They matter, and so do you. I remember being around your guys' age, maybe not a little bit older, and even though I smiled, laughed, and cracked jokes all the time, there were things that I were holding that nobody could see. And especially my mother's death, not knowing how to comprehend or process that. And I really didn't get it until I was an adult. But I felt like I had to act tough, like I had to prove something to the world, to my friends, to myself. But the truth was, I was lost. I wasn't proud of the decisions I was making. I wasn't being the best version of myself. I was surrounded by noise, people pulling me in different directions, some just wanting me to fit in. People telling me I'd never be anything. But then one day, after listening to all those motivational tapes, I was sitting on a dock in northern Michigan at 2 a.m. looking at the stars, contemplating life because I was so uncomfortable in mine, and I knew something had to change. And this was just before I met Dr. Eric Thomas. And I asked myself something on that dock that I want to ask you guys. If you keep going down the road that you're going down, who are you going to become? If you guys keep making the decisions that you're making, hanging out with the people that you are, what's your life going to look like? I knew the road I was going down, and it was going one of two directions, death or incarceration. And I decided in a moment that I was going to change. I said if Dr. Eric Thomas could go be homeless to a motivational speaker, then sure, I could go from being homeless to a motivational speaker. That if he could be a high school dropout to a multimillionaire, then surely I could be a high school dropout multimillionaire. If I can change, you can change. And I did it not because someone told me to, not because I was forced to, but because I knew I was made for more in that moment. I didn't know how it was going to work out. In fact, I didn't have anything planned. But I made a choice, and I started a business. No idea what I was doing. I started a clothing company. I had a one-shirt press in my bedroom. I wasted so many shirts trying to figure this out. The first year, I spent about $10,000 on equipment. You know what I made? I made $9,000, so technically I was negative $1,000. I was done. I was over it. I wanted to give up. But instead of giving up, I decided that I was going to keep doing it. And I watched YouTube videos, and I learned, and then I got a phone call one day that changed my business. And it was a dance studio. They needed 400 t-shirts. It cost $8,000. It was the biggest order I had ever had. And in a moment, I realized that this business was viable. And I went from a one-shirt press in my bedroom to actually having and owning a t-shirt shop that serviced shirts all across America for restaurants and corporations. I went from having negative $1,000 the first year to making $100,000 by the second year. Businesses all over, particularly restaurants and dance studios. But then I made a big decision. And even though I was making $100,000, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. So I sold the business so that I could do what I'm doing right now full time, which is coming and letting you guys believe in yourselves. Whatever goals and dreams that you have inside of you are possible, and I know it because I built it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I was a homeless high school dropout. And that decision is the one that brought me right here, because I stopped chasing the approval of other people and I started chasing the version of me I knew was inside. It didn't mean that I became perfect, but it meant I started walking a path one decision at a time. Now, I'm going to say this, and I want you guys to remember it. Whatever you got to do, write it down, take a picture of it. But there is a version of yourself you haven't met yet because you're too afraid to let go of who you've been. I'm going to say that again. There is a version of yourself you haven't met yet because you're too afraid to let go of who you've been. What are you afraid to let go of? Who are you afraid to let go of? And if you let go of those things, what would your life look like? Because the real truth is change doesn't start with applause. You see, I had to let the old me go so I can make room for the new me. I couldn't be in gangs and then go do professional development for corporations, right? I couldn't go do motivational speaking for people, being the old version of myself surrounded by the people that I was surrounded by. I had to let him go so I could become who I needed to become. And there's some things that you need to let go of so that you can become who you need to become. Because the truth is, change doesn't start with applause and accolades. It starts with being honest with yourself and saying this can't and won't be the end of my story. So what do you want your guys' story to write from this day forward? Because you have the pens. You are the authors. You just have to make a decision. And I want you to remember that where you are matters just as much as who you are, right? Talking about environments again. I remember being around the wrong environments for a long time. People that didn't believe in me, places where my dreams felt too big. Conversations that killed my confidence instead of building it. And slowly I started to become a reflection of that. And it wasn't because I didn't have greatness in me, it was because I was in rooms that couldn't recognize it. And so I want to ask you guys, are you in rooms that don't recognize the greatness in you? And if you are in those rooms, maybe you should consider whether or not you should be in them. Because remember this, birds of a feather flock together. Who you are around is who you will become. You pick up their habits, their traits, and their tendencies, and you will do it unconsciously. If 5 of your friends are in gangs, you'll be the 6th. If 7 of your friends smoke, you'll be the 8th. If 8 of your friends are broke, you'll be the 9th. I started paying attention to the voices I was allowing in my life, and not just from other people, but my own voice. I started asking myself, does this environment match the future that I'm chasing? Because if I'm trying to chase something better, something stronger, something more meaningful, then I can't keep planting myself in places where nothing grows. And I realized something important, that comfort wasn't going to create my legacy. Fear wasn't going to build my future. You see, I had to start choosing environments that stretched me even when it was uncomfortable. You guys got to do the same. You got to start holding the promises that you make to yourself. Stop giving up. Stop settling. Stop saying that it's not possible. And start to chase that future version of yourselves. You guys don't have to wait until you're older. And no, it's not easy. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's not easy being committed to your health and eating the right foods. It's a fight. You're going to have loved ones that die, relationships that end, setbacks in school. It's a fight. My uncle committed suicide during COVID. It's a fight. I watched my mom die in front of me at 8. It's a fight. I was a homeless high school dropout. It's a fight. But on the other side of those trials and tribulations is the best version of yourselves. Our time here is limited. Stop spending it not being who you want to be for yourselves and for your families. You see, I had to walk away from places that felt familiar but toxic. I had to lean into rooms where I wasn't the smartest or the loudest, but I knew I was being challenged. You see, I got around the people I wanted to be like, and they poured into me. And some people didn't understand it. Some of my friends thought I changed up on them. But the truth is I didn't change on them. I just started choosing me. I was choosing to chase something better. And that's what I want for you, is to recognize that you don't have to stay in the same environments just because that's where you've always been. At any time, you can decide to set a new sail for your life. You can change your atmospheres. You can find mentors, listen to podcasts, read books, get around people who think like you. Because if you want to rise, you can't stay rooted in the soil that's been stunting your growth. Take this for an example. If I put that acorn, I'm going to go back to environment, and I put it in a cup, and I put dirt on top of it, and I water it, what's going to happen? It'll grow. But what about after about 2 weeks? It'll wither and die because of its environment. The cup is stifling the roots' growth. The roots can't go as deep as they could, so the branches can't go as high as they should. And there's something in your life that's stifling your growth. What's the cup in your life? What's not allowing you to grow to the way that you should? Who are the 5 people closest to you? What kind of things are being spoken in your environment? Are they pushing you forward? Or are they pulling you back? I'm not saying cut people off, but I am saying be intentional with who you surround yourself with, because who you are around is going to determine how far you grow. And in that transition, and trust me, I saw that too, by the way, throwing up that gang sign. I used to be like that. Not you, him. You. You were just doing that a second ago. But I used to be like that. And I'm here today to try to help change somebody. Sometimes the loudest applause that you're going to have when you're trying that transition in life is going to be from yourself. Because you're going to have moments, and maybe you've already had them, where you feel like nobody sees your potential, nobody claps for you, nobody shows up. I remember that feeling all too well. Because there was a season of my life where I had big dreams but small support. I'd share my goals with people, and they'd either laugh, stay silent, or hit me with that classic, "That's cool, but maybe you should try something more realistic." And at first, I started to shrink myself to the comfort of other people's expectations. But then I realized, if I'm waiting on everyone else to believe in me before I believe in me, I'm going to be standing still forever. And my whole life, every adversity that I've gone through, watching friends get shot, my mother dying in front of me, I pushed through it. And I didn't know it until I got older, but I was building this mentality where I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. And a perfect example of that is, I was getting ready to run the Indianapolis Marathon 2 years ago. And the goal for that marathon was to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Now, in order for me to do that, I needed to run this in 3 hours flat. 26 miles, 3 hours. And I trained and trained and trained and trained and trained. And I was as ready as I was ever going to be. And then 48 hours before that race, I broke my foot. I know, don't look at my ugly toes. I'm just trying to show you the bruising. My dreams of Boston went out of the window. And everybody I knew was telling me, friends, running community, family, not to go do it. And any logical person just broken their foot is not going to go run 26 miles. But I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I'd given too much. And I couldn't hang my head high knowing that I didn't go try. So I went and did it. And the first 13 miles of that race really wasn't that bad. I would occasionally land on my foot, and it would send this shock up my body. But by mile 14, the pain started to kick in, and so did the voice in my head. And I started to question whether or not they were right. Maybe I shouldn't be here doing this. But then I shut it down. And I decided I was going to stop at one of the aid stations, try to see if they could tape my toes to keep some of the pressure off. And so as the medic was taking my shoe off, he saw that bruising. He's like, "You should drop. You shouldn't be doing this." I couldn't quit. And I said, "No, sir, can you tape my toes? I got to try to finish this race." And so he taped my toes, and reluctantly, I went back out there. And every mile, every step, every inch, I was giving myself every excuse to quit. I didn't need to prove anything to anybody. I had already run marathons. I had already run ultra marathons. I already had a world record. But I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. And by mile 25, the pain and the pressure had gotten so bad in my foot that I couldn't even physically wear the shoe anymore. And so the last mile of that race, these are actual pictures, I ran across that finish line with one shoe on and one shoe off. And I'm crying, not because I'm in pain, but because I was introduced to another version of myself, because I set a standard in my life that I didn't give up when adversity hit me. A lot of people, and even younger people, when adversity hits in the classroom, when you have pressure in life, you back up and you give up. I'm trying to tell you guys to set a new standard in your life. Quit giving up. Set it, finish it. I set one and I finish. And I'm trying to tell you guys to do the same thing, because when you do that, you're introduced to another version of yourself, a stronger, wiser, better version of yourself. That's what chasing something is all about. It's choosing to believe in myself even when the crowd was quiet. They were telling me to quit. It's about going after that version of yourself that you believe in before the rest of the world catches on. And so you see, I started writing down my goals. How many of you actually have written lists of your goals and dreams in life? Let me see your hands. Exactly. You see, 99% of the population doesn't write down their goals. You see those people who have the cars, clothes, homes, and jewelry that you want? The 1% of people, they had a written list of their goals and dreams, and then they took action on them. So if you guys don't have it, I encourage you, when you get home today, pull out a piece of paper, write down where you want to go, who you want to be, how much money you want to make, and then start going towards it. I did that, and I started to accomplish all these amazing things in my life. I started talking to myself with more confidence. But the big thing was I saw it up here before it was reality. You see, I started walking like someone who was in their future and not stuck in their past. And I want that for you guys. Is it easy? No. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Some of the greatest leaders, innovators, artists, even athletes were overlooked at first. But you know what they all had in common? They believed in what they were building. They kept showing up. They kept chasing. And if no one's told you, I believe in you. And I truly mean that. I drove 1,000 miles from Michigan to come talk to you guys because I believe in you. Even for the adults in the room. Because guess what? They may be your educators, they may be your teachers, but they've got goals and dreams too. And I believe in them just as much as I believe in you. But more important than me believing in you is you believing in yourself. Because belief is the starting point of all achievement. If you don't believe that you deserve good things, if you don't believe that you deserve to be a good student, to have a good home, then you will do things to keep you from it. So the next time that you feel discouraged, overlooked, or underestimated, I want you to remember this. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone fails to see it. Right? If I were to take a $20 bill and I crumple that $20 bill up and I throw it on the floor, is that 20 worth any different, or is it still worth $20? It's still worth it, right? What if I throw it in the trash and it gets a little bit of soda on it or a little bit of gum? Is that 20 still worth 20? Yeah? What if I rip that 20 in half and then tape it back together? Is it still worth 20? So you see, what I'm trying to tell you is someone along the way decided that that piece of paper had value, and no matter what happened to it, that was the value of it. And I'm trying to tell you that your Creator put value inside of you. So if you've been discarded, if you've been hurt, if you've been broken, your value doesn't decrease just because someone fails to see it. You were made to shine. You were made to grow. You guys got seeds of greatness inside of you. And yes, it starts with that small voice up here saying, I can do this even if they think I can't. You guys chase confidence, chase courage, chase the version of yourself that refuses to quit, even when no one claps. Because that version, that's the one that changes the world. And listen, I've been one of them. I've been in these seats. You can live to impress people, or you can live to impact people, but rarely can you do both. And I know it right now, especially your guys' age, popularity can feel like everything, right? The followers, the likes, the shout-outs, the approval. I was your age. I wanted that too. I felt the pressure. I wanted to think I was cool. I wanted to be invited, seen, heard, validated. But remember this, popularity fades. It's your purpose that sticks. And because I wanted to fit in, I was adjusting myself to make other people happy. I wore masks so I wouldn't be judged. I played it safe so I wouldn't stand out. But let me tell you something. You can never stand out if you always fit in. And deep down, I wasn't proud of that version of myself. It wasn't until I stopped chasing attention and started chasing alignment that things began to change for me. And that's when I realized that purpose was different than popularity. You see, popularity is about who knows you. Purpose is about what you're known for. See, when I started pouring into my purpose, helping others, speaking life, using my story to impact someone else, I stopped worrying about who liked me, and I started focusing on who needed me. And some of you are so focused on what he or she thinks of you, you're missing the gifts and talents that you have inside of you. You weren't made to blend in. You were born to do great things. You were made to build something. That something might be a dream, a mission, a message, but I promise you that it matters more than likes do. And let me tell you something. I know a lot of popular people, and the most popular people aren't always the happiest. But the purposeful people, they sleep at night knowing they're walking in truth. And don't get me wrong, it's not bad to be liked. We all want to be liked. But it's dangerous to be liked for someone you're not. And that's when I realized I didn't need a stage to validate me. My story became my platform. I didn't need everybody's approval. I just needed the courage to chase what was inside of me. You see, purpose is when you wake up and say, I may not be the most followed, but I know I'm walking in who I was created to be. And I want to ask you guys, are you walking in who you were created to be? Are you chasing likes or are you chasing legacy? Are you chasing followers or are you chasing future? Are you chasing something that matters? Because when your popularity fades, and it will, it's your purpose that's going to keep you standing. Chase that. Chase you. Because a lot of people think they got to be rich growing up, famous, or have 1 million followers to make a difference. But let me tell you something. Impact doesn't require attention. It requires intention. It's not about how many people know your name. It's about how many lives you touch by showing up with kindness, courage, and compassion. You see, when I was a teenager, I wasn't the loudest. I wasn't the most popular. But I was the kid who paid attention to the other kids sitting alone at the lunch table. And I didn't do it because I wanted credit. I did it because I knew what it felt like to be invisible, because I used to be that kid. You see, impact doesn't come from being perfect. It doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from asking yourself, what can I do with what I have to help someone else today? And for me, that was telling my story. From going and selling drugs, from watching friends get shot, from joining gangs, from dropping out of high school to traveling the world and living life on my terms. You don't have to wait to be an adult to make a difference, guys. You don't have to wait until someday. You are powerful right now. And every day, those choices, you can choose to scroll or you could choose to surf. You could choose to follow or you could choose to lead. You could choose to make noise or you could choose to make an impact. I'm not up here because I've always had it together. In fact, that's the only reason I'm up here, is because I haven't always had it together. I have failed, I have fumbled, I have questioned if what I do matters. And I will fail again, I will fumble again, and I will question if what I do matters. But I can't quit. And I want you guys to help me with this one, because there's a lot of darkness that's going on in the world right now. If everybody in this room could be the reason that people believe in good again. Because the truth is, we all maybe have 3 or 4 people we can count on our own hands that believe in us, that truly believe in us. And guess what? It costs you nothing, and it means the world to that person. So whether you say it with your voice or your actions, let people know they matter. That will last any achievement that you ever have. Sometimes chasing something means chasing the kind of impact that outlives you, right? I'm building a legacy for my children. I've published books, and I will publish more that they will be able to read for generations after me, their children, their children's children, right? I'm doing motivational speeches that are audio and video recorded that will outlive my physical being, that impact people all around the world. I'm leaving a legacy behind me, and I want to ask you guys, how is the world going to know you were here? What is that goal and dream that you have inside of you? It's possible. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't need to know your future job or have your life planned out by 13, 14, or 50 or 60 for the adults in the room. What you do need is that pull, that spark in your heart, that voice that says there is something more for me, and that something is yours, and it's unique to you. And if you chase it with everything you got, your story will change lives. And I know it because I'm proof. Most people stop chasing because they get tired, scared, distracted, they settle, they give up. They shrink their dreams to fit someone else's comfort zone. I'm going to say something to you, and I want you to understand it. That someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. I know a lot of you have goals and dreams that you don't talk about because you're worried about what people are going to think of you. I'm telling you to chase those things with everything you got. Because all you in this room, you're different. You're part of a generation that's bold, that's creative, that's resilient. And when life hits you, because it will, there's the saying one of my mentors has that says, if you fall, land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And I know it because I did it through the doubt, through the dark, through the days that I didn't think I'd make it. And now I get to impact lives all around the world because I refuse to give up on the something in me. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait until you're older. Start now, because the world isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be real. When you walk out of here today, I want you guys to walk out like you got something worth chasing, because you do. And when the days get hard, When the voice in your head gets loud, when the world tells you to quit, that's when you have to keep going, because it's in the moments of adversity that we grow the most. And I know that because every adversity that I didn't give up on, I was introduced to another version of myself. I started this talk by telling everybody that you got something inside of you, and I'm ending it by telling you this. You're not too young. You're not too old. You're not too broken. You're not too far behind. Who you surround yourself with affects your decisions and your choices. I get asked all the time, too, why do you read all you do? Why do you do all that you do? Why do you travel all the places that you travel? And I simply say, why not? This life is beautiful if you make it beautiful. Why not read all you can read? Why not do all you can do? Why not go see all you can see? There is a music inside of you guys that's waiting to burst forth, just like that acorn inside that tree. I want you guys to start chasing something greater for yourselves and for your families. I'm going to leave you with 3 truths, and then I'm done. Number 1 is you matter more than you know. And I truly mean that. For every individual in this room, you matter. All of you. Number 2 is you can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. But the flip side of that is if you always do what you've always done, you'll always have what you've always had. Number 3, your life can and will be greater than your past. Yesterday is over, tomorrow hasn't happened. This is your guys' moment right now. Decide to start chasing something and never stop believing that it's inside of you. Remember, I was no different. Homeless high school dropout. If I can change, you can change. Can you guys do something for me and say, I can change? Oh, come on, guys. I need more energy than that. Say, I can change.
I can change.
All right, one more. I drove 1,000 miles. Give me everything you got. Say, I can change.
I can change.